including the last one. We'll see what happens in part 1 of 2020. And Isaiah Crawley in to win the tip for Georgia Southern, and we are underway. Well, like we said, the Panthers have won 8 of the last 11 in this series. Last year, Danny, you and I called that game together as McAdden squares up for 3 and airballs it. That was a crazy game last year. State won 90-85, held Southern to 4 for 18 from three-point range. And here's a look at the state lineup. They've been pretty solid with their normal starting 5 this year. No big changes today.
Yeah, 4 guards set for the Panthers has been kind of their mantra throughout this season.
And
Quan Jackson stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, Quan Jackson stepped out, so State's going to get that one back. And as we take a look at the Georgia Southern lineup, small rotation. So those are the normal starting 5, and we found out yesterday that David Lee Jones is out indefinitely with an athletic suspension. So they're really going to be playing a small rotation, maybe 7 guys.
Well, expect a lot of pressure on Calvin Wishart, the sophomore. Wishart played 38 minutes a couple of games ago against Troy, and he's their primary point guard on the offense.
And Kane Williams down the lane to start the scoring. He had an amazing game last time against Southern, Danny. Led all scorers with 23 points. By the way, almost a year later, that is still his career high. Here's Ike Smith. Steps back against the 6'9" Joe Jones and connects.
It's going to be interesting to see the guard play between both of these teams. How are the Eagles going to match up defensively against the 4-guard setup for Georgia State?
Yeah, these are 2 of the smaller teams in the Sun Belt Conference. Only 1 or 2 guys in the normal rotation for each team that is above 6'6" or so. And on the shot clock, that one goes off the hands of Corey Allen.
I mean, it's just incredible to see how Georgia State picked up where they left off from last season. I mean, you look at what happened last season, where they had 5 seniors graduate and DeMarcus Simons, a Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, leaving a year early, and their former head coach going to Tulane as well. Rob Lanier has come in and has really made this program very superb. And also, just because there's a lot of new players doesn't mean they haven't played at all.
That one clean block off the hands of Ike Smith, and State takes it back the other way. Looking to break the tie. There's Roberts, our key player to watch tonight. That one off the back iron, and Southern comes back the other way, looking to take the lead. Outside to Calvin Wishart. Didn't want to pull, but he shakes Roberts. Outside to Smith. And dials it in with a man in his face.
And Ike Smith is probably looking to have not a breakout performance, but probably one of his best performances all season. He didn't play against Georgia State last year in either of the two games because he missed all of conference play due to a back injury. Yeah,
Corey Allen has that one off the mark, yanked down by the 6'9" Joe Jones. Stolen away. Here comes McAdden. Through the contact, no foul, and here comes State the other way.
McAdden went too strong, driving towards the lane, was looking for contact there.
Allen, clean off the glass, 4-2 lead here for State early on. Corey Allen's their leading scorer this year, 15 points a game, yet another transfer. He came in from Detroit. Ike Smith still looking to heat up. Can't get the third basket to go, gets the rebound and a foul, and State takes it back.
They're going to say that Smith stepped out of bounds when he was getting that offensive rebound. No, they're actually going to say the foul on Crawley.
Yeah, so Isaiah Crawley and Simeon Carter checks in his place for Georgia Southern, the Iowa State transfer, and it means they're always going to keep 1 or 2 big guys in the rotation. Simeon Carter being in 6'8", that means that this is the biggest we are going to see the Eagles today.
Yeah, and Carter was 7'2" wingspan as well. Is going to be the primary guy to guard Joe Jones III down low in the paint.
Damon Wilson goes through the paint, down to 10 on the shot clock here for Kane Williams. Got to be careful with him on the outside. He's a 40% three-point shooter. Tries to cut inside and gets a miracle bank to go. Back outside from the wing. Freak is good from Isaiah Crawley. And I'll tell you what, Dan, we picked him as one of our key players to watch at the start of this game. No surprise, he feels comfortable dialing up from 3. Last time he played State here, an unbelievable game, 19 points, 10 boards.
And what's
Smith fouled.
And that Crawley isn't normally a three-point shooter. Now with that made 3, he's 6 of 19 on the year.
Justin Roberts, that's his first personal.
And not a huge surprise to see him shooting well, because as we know about Crawley, last year one of his strengths was his efficiency. When you include three-pointers this year, he's shooting 57% from the floor. And here's Ike. And now give him 6 of Georgia Southern's points already.
Yeah, Smith coming off of the last 2 games against South Alabama and Troy, where he scored 12 points in each performance. And he's played very well throughout this season. It's his redshirt senior year. Definitely wanted to be out there last season, but the back injury just didn't make that happen. And there were some talks as well, initially when it first happened, that he would come back midway through conference play. It was probably the smart decision just to hold him out the rest of the year and have him come back an extra year.
Well, and I'll tell you what, the fact that they've had him this year as a team leader and really one of their best scorers, also leading the team in rebounding, his presence is likely what has allowed them to play as well as they have, considering this is, of course, the first year of the post-Tukey Brown era.
Yeah, he's done a great job helping out some of the guards like Elijah McCadden.
Oh, Allen absolutely put Calvin Wishart on ice, but he recovers and actually gets the rebound. McCadden off the bench, just back into the game now. Kicks to Quan Jackson. Three's not falling for Jackson so far. He's missed 2, but we saw one from Ike Smith and one from Isaiah Crawley, and now we see one from Georgia State's Justin Roberts. He's hit over 43 pointers this year. You got to look out for him from beyond the arc.
Yeah, and that's the first made 3 from the Panthers after they missed their previous 2 shots from long range.
3-pointers are going to be a difference maker in this game. Like we said at the top of the broadcast, State is the 9th best 3-point shooting team in the country. Crawley spins, a little short. Second chance for him. Here he goes again, his second 3. You bet. Mr. Efficiency, Isaiah Crawley gets it done from 3 again.
Well, they didn't cover him over there in the corner. When you leave a guy open with that much space, you're going to take it.
So Isaiah Crawley and Ike Smith leading the way for Georgia Southern so far. And Southern out to a 13-9 lead. Next dead ball will take us down into a media timeout. Here's Roberts to the rim, around and off. Wishart the rebound, and here come the Eagles. Trying to push this lead past 4 points. Jackson from 3. Air ball that time. Feast or famine for this team. And that one will go out of bounds, and it looks like Georgia Southern is going to take the ball on the other end of this timeout. Eagles up 4 early on. Coming up, but this is the first one that really feels like it could make a difference headed to the conference tournament in New Orleans. David Vitti just in off the bench for Georgia Southern, the redshirt freshman out of Buford. Doesn't usually get a ton of minutes, but like we said, with David Lee Jones out, they need a second point guard who can at least help Calvin Wishart. And a travel on Ike Smith.
And there were a lot of changes that were made entering the season this year. They increased the number of conference games from 18 to 20.
Yep.
So this is the 10th conference game for both teams, so it kind of signifies the midway point of conference play. So you want to get a win here, considering that both teams lost their last games. The Eagles lost to South Alabama. Georgia State lost to Troy by 10.
Southern into more of his own defense here, as it's a great block from Simeon Carter. Eagle defense, kind of an under-heralded part of the team this year, Danny. Between steals and blocks, they've been getting it done as Vitti comes up short.
Well, Mark Bynes has said that last season they pressed way too much against Georgia State, so they're not trying to do that. Also trying to block out the driving lanes. And also defending outside the perimeter, considering that Georgia State's a very good three-point shooting team.
Down the lane, Kane Williams, easy feed inside there to Jalen Thomas. He's got his first bucket of the night, the true freshman. He's basically their equivalent of Isaiah Crawley. Thomas, 60% from the floor.
And like you said, 6'10", 230, a freshman from Detroit. He was ranked as high as number 2 in the state of Michigan for prospects.
Really amazing to think that he was actually their highest heralded recruit coming out of high school. One more coming for Ike Smith. What a start for him.
And Smith knocking down that basket. He now has 9 of the Eagles' 15 points off of 3 of 5 shooting from the floor.
Second team foul against Georgia State. Still just 1 against Southern. Ike Smith, top 20 right now in career points among active college basketball players. Of course, hampered with injuries the last couple of years, and the fact that he gets to come back for an extended redshirt senior season. plenty of time to play and rack up those points.
Yeah, and one interesting thing about this year is that he doesn't have to be the designated #1 scorer for this team. There are 4 players on this roster that average over 10 a game. You can go to anybody, whether it be Quan Jackson, Isaiah Crawley, or even Elijah McCadden as well.
Eagles extend that lead to 5 points, 16-11, 13 to go in the first. Devontae Ivory just in off the bench for State. He draws a foul and he'll get 2 shots. Sophomore out of Stockbridge.
Georgia Southern fouls on number 1, David Beatty, his first, team's second.
And a first foul for David Beatty.
Devontae Ivory at the line shooting 2.
So David Beatty coming in off the bench, Danny. What kind of thing, as a role player, are they hoping that he's going to do? Is he really just in there to spell a couple of guys? Is he going to be expected to make an impact? What do we think?
I mean, if anything, #1 has to be defense. You know, as we said before, Georgia State going with 4 guards in their rotation after seeing a replay of the foul by Beatty. You know, you just want a guy to get body on him. That's #1 thing. #2, knowing that Beatty can be a good 3-point shooter, that's probably the second thing to deal with, to work on here in this game. But it will be defense first.
And he's really just got to find a way to fit in here on offense. He's a guy who hasn't gotten a ton of minutes this year, so they're going to look to flow with him. Outside to Smith. Nearly had a second chance on offense there as Trey Dawkins went for the board. And that one tipped away by Beatty. Okay, so Trey Dawkins now in off the bench. So, Danny, we thought entering this game that Southern was going to run with about a 7-man rotation. Now that Dawkins is in here, this is pretty much what we're going to get.
Well, with the height that Georgia State has down low in the post, and they want to have at least 2 post players out there on the floor. You see Dawkins right now kind of playing the 5 in the middle with Isaiah Crawley being a 4, stretch 4 in this situation.
Williams off the mark. Great rebound by Nelson Phillips, his first real touch of the night. Is their leading scorer, Corey Allen, the redshirt junior. He pulls. He goes a little bit long from deep. Dawkins, great rebound. He's got great length.
Yeah, Dawkins is a guy that can come in, a nice role player for Georgia Southern. Averages about 10 minutes a night. And he can hit some threes as well if he knocks this one down.
I'll tell you what, not a surprise that we're seeing these teams shoot so many threes. That's a missed dunk from Phillips. A little overly aggressive there. But I'm surprised we're seeing them let the threes fly so quickly here, Danny. Smith. Great turnaround, 12 points.
Well, Georgia Southern, a team that'll live and die by the 3. They're currently 3 of 10 right now from long range. Georgia State 1 of 6. And you're going to see pretty much all 8 guys that Mark Byington uses throughout this first half because you want to save your legs for the second half.
That's definitely going to be a foul on Elijah McCadden, and that'll take us down to break. Eagles extend the lead to 5 at the under 12 timeout.
You need a timeout on the floor.
Had 23 points in that game.
But what's so funny about the Sun Belt Conference over the last couple of years is winning the regular season is no indicator of who's going to win the conference tournament and head on to March Madness. As that jumper is off the mark and yanked down by Ike Smith, it was actually Arlington that came not really out of nowhere, but they certainly did perform better than anyone else and end up winning the conference tournament.
Well, it's kind of the same story this year, considering that last season was the first year for Chris Ogden, won Coach of the Year, and had a lot of different guys that were able to contribute.
There's Damon Wilson, the redshirt senior from Atlanta, dialing up a 3 and getting it back to a 2-point game. He's another guy, Danny, for them that can really do it all. Also leads the team in rebounding.
And also another transfer player for Georgia State. Spent 2 years at Pittsburgh, played 55 games there. He did play his first season with Georgia State last year. Started in 15 of 34 games.
Had, of course, to sit out that year before that, though. So what's funny is, though, even though he's a transfer player, it kind of seems like he's been here longer than most of the current guys on the Georgia State roster.
Yeah, and he got a chance to run and play with those seniors and DeMarcus Simon, so he knows what it takes to be a championship caliber team.
Josh Linder left wide open in the middle of the defense there, and he couldn't put it away. Here's a second chance for Corey Allen. A little bit long. These are 2 traditionally very good efficiency shooting teams, just not so far. Stolen away, and here comes Roberts. Rejected by Ike Smith. What a start to this game for him.
And I knew he was going for that block. He waited for his moment.
He timed that well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. You saw the guy going for the layup. He kind of slowed down a bit. Thought it was going to be an easy two, but didn't know that Smith was right there to deny the shot.
Play enough games in this gym, enough games in this rivalry, you start to develop a feel, and hard to say there'd be anyone in this game with more of a feel than Ike Smith right now. 12 points already. Down inside, 10 minutes to play here in the first half. Been close most of the way. No lead bigger than 5 points. Wide open down to Linder. They keep leaving him open. He's rejected, this time by Simeon Carter. Back-to-back blocks for the Eagles. And that one's going to go back the Panthers' way, but these teams are getting aggressive, buddy.
Linder thought he was open after having the first guy go past him, but didn't notice Simeon Carter right behind him. That's another clean block, and the Eagles doing a great job defensively, trying to hang on to this 2-point lead that they have.
The last couple of years when these teams have gotten together, people have rightfully so talked a lot about offense. As you can see why, Josh Linder gets it done that time with a jam to tie the game up at 18. But these have low-key been two really good defensive teams the last 2 or 3 years. Eagles haven't scored in 2.5 minutes. Can that change? That would have been the third three of the game for Isaiah Crawley. Simeon Carter tries to rip it away. That'll be a jump ball, and it's going back State's way.
Right now, the Panthers starting to take advantage of the scoring drought from Georgia Southern.
But I'll tell you what, too, Georgia State, the way they've clawed back, Southern's really been locked in on a couple of guys who've been getting most of the points. It is very spread out right now for State.
Yeah, that's the unique thing about them. I mean, the 4 to 5 starters average over 10 points a game there, and they like to spread the ball around. For Georgia Southern, it's whoever has a hot hand at that moment.
Ike Smith goes to the bench, probably just for a couple of seconds. Wilson in the corner. Off to the right. Rebound. Williams. Foul on the floor. And that one is going against State on the rebound. Southern's going to get this one back, and it's on Kane Williams.
That's a third team foul for the Panthers. Both teams have 3 fouls so far in the first half.
Feels like this game has been more physical than the amount of fouls we've seen so far. You would think there have been more than 6 total.
Well, it has like it's been more physical out there, but the refs are letting them play.
Gotta love that in a rivalry series. David Beatty back in off the bench for Ike Smith. Crawley working. Here's Beatty. And that's why they want him in the game off the bench. Big 3.
We said defense first, then 3-point shooting. Did a great job defensively and got rewarded on the other end.
Stolen away by Quan Jackson. He's second in the conference in steals. And they'll slow it down. Here's Wisher. He was about to pull over Roberts. That would have been something. Ten to shoot, Wisher. Huge 3 with the man in his face. Put it right between Justin Roberts' eyes.
You know, for a moment there when the shot went off, it looked like it was going to be short because it was good defense, but nothing but net from Wisher.
So the Eagles had not scored in nearly 3 minutes, and since then, back-to-back threes to put them on a 6-0 run. It's another steal for Quan Jackson. And a foul on the floor. And that's going to be against Kane Williams again. That'll
steals per game. He's had some good games recently, but he's starting to come about his own and trying to figure out how to get through the season now that other teams have film on him.
That's exactly right. The big thing entering this season, the big question mark was now that teams see Quan coming, how's he going to do? Because he was electric kind of as the third option the last 2 years when you had Tukey Brown and Ike Smith, and even before that guys like Jake Alsmiller. He's been successful, but he's had to find different ways to do it.
Well, I think when Ike Smith went down last season, Quan Jackson took that as an opportunity to step up, being that number 2 guy out there for the Eagles.
All right, Joe Jones, the 6'9" true freshman, gets it done, and one more coming. Draws the foul against Trey Dawkins, and he'll go to the line.
It's incredible for Georgia State, while they have a lot of guys that are well established with the team for the last couple of years, they have two freshmen that are big-time post players.
Yeah, 6'9" Joe Jones and 6'10" Jalen Thomas. And Jones here at the line, He's been getting minutes, averaging 16 minutes a game. He's been playing. And it's back to a one-possession game, down to 3 points. And here comes the State defensive press. And Calvin Wishart's working here against Justin Roberts. He put a big three right in his face a couple minutes ago. So that's going to be a big matchup to watch the rest of the way as well. David Vitti still in the game. Ike Smith back in now off the bench. And 5 on the shot clock here for the redshirt senior. And it doesn't matter. Gets it done on the roll.
I mean, what burst of speed from Ike, knowing that there was little time left, drove the lane, split a couple of defenders, and got the easy, I wouldn't say an easy layup, but it was a tough one.
And he's been so instrumental this year. All right, so Georgia Southern's lead back to 5 after the 2 there from Ike Smith. Step back from Corey Allen. I'll tell you what, he's their leading scorer on the year, 15 points a game. He hasn't done much tonight, but Justin Roberts stepping in at his place with another big 3.
Yeah, big 3 there. Puts the Panthers within 2.
This game, go ahead,
even though the Eagles, they've had to lead for the last couple of minutes. Big dunk there by Dawkins. Georgia State has always been able to make a play to stay close in it.
Holy cow, so part of the reason Dawkins is getting minutes tonight too, because he's 6'9". State's a little bit bigger in their rotation traditionally, so the Eagles are matching them and doing well with that. Wave off the shot, fell on the floor.
Fouls on the Eagles, number 10.
And that's on Calvin Wishart.
It's his first.
15th foul for the Eagles, still only 4 for the Panthers. And got a couple substitutions in the game now. Quan Jackson to the bench, same with Ike Smith. They've been taking him in and out pretty liberally so far. And McCadden comes back in. So the Eagles giving a couple big names a quick break before they come back in. Wave that shot off as well. Going to be the 6th team foul against Southern. And that's on Elijah McCadden.
Now McCadden has 2 fouls. He has to be careful. And Dawkins has done a great job trying to help down low as well. Just before those fouls, he was in position to make some more big-time blocks.
A couple of mismatches here. Roberts almost takes advantage of it. He's taken a couple shots there from the right wing. Eventually, those are going to start going down for him. Foul on the drive here for Crawley. He draws it. He'll go to the line for 2. He had an incredible start to this game. Little bit slower since, but he's still been making a big impact.
Yeah, made 2 big threes here to open up the afternoon. 2 of 5 shooting so far. He's able to grab a couple of rebounds in the process.
Lead back to 5 for Georgia Southern.
And before the injury that Crawley sustained, he was off to a great start. I mean, he had a 31-point performance against North Florida, even though the Eagles lost that game, didn't sustain an ankle injury. He missed one of the first games in the conference against Texas State, but came back in a limited role against UT Arlington.
He adds so much to this team that not having him, especially in a leadership and big guy role, there's just a huge piece of the team missing when he's gone. He's not one of those guys that you can plug the holes. Crawley's a huge part of the way this team operates, as finally Allen gets a shot to fall. It had been a little while for him.
Yeah, Mark Bynum said he's definitely a vocal leader, along with Ike Smith out there on the floor too.
So just 4 points for Allen after that last bucket. Like we said a minute ago, leads the team 15 points a game. They've done a good job containing him. A little bit short that time from Wishart as he tried to go over Roberts for a second time. Down inside, 5 to go in the half. Roberts on Wishart again. Takes that to Ivory. He's just back in for his second slate of minutes. And Quan comes away with that one. He's got Vitti on the other side, but he'll take it himself and finish. Explosive to the rim like always.
And for a moment there, Josh Linder almost got a piece of it, but Jackson able to get it up in time.
We've seen a couple of blocks here too. That's always dangerous in this game. Great second chance there from Cavante Ivory. And it's going to stay a 4-point game here with a little over 4 minutes to go. Like we said off the top of the broadcast, these games in Hanner are always close. Last 5 games between these two teams in this building have been decided by 5 points or less. Foul on Nelson Phillips.
And not to mention, these teams also faced each other in a Sun Belt Conference Championship game as well.
Sure did.
A long time ago, about 4 or 5 years. And it was way low scoring as well, with Georgia State got a 2-point victory over Georgia Southern.
Here's Calvin Wishart, just 3 points so far, but those came off one huge 3. Blanks the first one, and Mark Byington is going to be talking to his team about free throws at halftime, because like we just said, these games are always so close. You need every point you can here.
Yeah, normally they're a 70% free throw shooting team. Right now, 6 of 8. Make it 7 of 9.
All right, so David Beatty back to the bench. Ike Smith back in for Georgia Southern, as is Simeon Carter. So they've got the bigger lineup in here for the final stretch of the first half, and their best scorers as well. McAdam, though, has a couple of fouls, so he'll stay on the bench. Wide open, Damon Wilson. Off the mark, I'll tell you what, Danny, for a team that came into this game as the best 3-point shooting team in the conference, they've had a rough go from beyond the arc as Wishart's going to be whistled for the foul here. Mark Byington can't believe it. And we'll find out a little bit more about that after the break. Eagles still on top by 5.
When it got tied up in the final couple of minutes, South Alabama went on another 9-0 run, a 9-2 run to end the game and get the win.
And that is not something that often happens, because anyone who's watched Eagle basketball over the years can tell you when the Eagles are winning in the last 5 minutes, they almost never blow that lead. They know how to close out a game most of the time.
Yeah, they've been a great second half team so far this season. See if they can hold on to the lead here with 3:49 to play.
All right, Jalen Thomas hits both. Again, he's been very efficient from the line this year as well. 60% from the field, though. 17 fouls against the Eagles, 6 against the Panthers. One more puts him into the bonus. Bad throw behind Quan Jackson there. State trying to turn this into a 1-point game, and they will. Corey Allen to the rack. I'll tell you what, after a slow start, he's really done well, but not as well as that jam from Simeon Carter. Holy cow.
Yeah, Carter wide open on the other end after the points off of turnovers from Georgia State.
And in a rivalry game like this, sometimes one jam is all you need to get the juice you need to finish out a half. Rainbow 3 that time from Damon Wilson. We got ourselves a tie game with 3 to go in the half. State is not going away.
Well, we talked about Justin Roberts being close to a 40% three-point shooter. Damon Wilson shooting 45% from long range.
Back-to-back possession jams from Simeon Carter. He's waking up. Eagles retake a 2-point lead. 2:45 to go in the first. Outside to Allen. Yet again, great defense by Quan Jackson. Step back 3, Phillips. Bricked that one. Eagles trying to make this a 2-possession game here. Crawley, big guy, foul. And that is number 7 on Georgia State.
Fouls on the Panthers, number 25, Jalen Thomas.
And that's on the true freshman, Jalen Thomas, his first.
7th team foul.
So Crawley going as fast as he could, just trying to absorb some contact.
Shooting 2.
Crawley 8 points so far after those 2 big threes to start the game. And make it 9. I'd say the Eagles have done a pretty good job so far of spreading the load.
Yeah, Ike Smith really got things started out early, and then Crawley hitting a couple of threes. Calvin Wishart knocking down one from long range. Simeon Carter, 2 back-to-back slam dunks.
And that really is a trademark of this year's team versus the last 2 or 3 years. It was usually pretty easy math. If Ike and Tukey didn't both get 15 points, they were probably going to lose the game. Much more spread out this year, and it's made for good development kind of among the entire roster.
Well, every team's going to be different. And even last year, Georgia Southern wasn't known as a three-point shooting team. They shot below 30% from long range.
Just efficient.
But with Tukey Brown being the leader and how he likes to drive down the lane and absorb contact and get to the free throw line, that's the reason why Georgia Southern was one of the top scoring teams in the nation last year.
Here's Wilson. Short off the front iron. Lead stays at 4.
And now you have this season where you got some guys that can shoot the three and they can spread the ball across the floor, kind of a live by the three, die by the three type of team, but they can be very efficient shooters from long range.
I will tell you what, you cannot expect, if you're Southern, you cannot expect State to stay this cold from long range. They are 4 for 14 from outside here in the first half. That's not going to hold up. Jackson, baseline drive, loses the handle. Carter loses it himself. And here comes State trying to cut into that lead. Down 3 points on offense. Step back three. Can't tie the game. Smith the rebound. Lucky feed in front. Carter goes back up. Didn't want a third jam. Takes the easy two.
Joe Carter with 6 points, all of them being crucial throughout this first half.
Yeah, no kidding. Lead back to 5. Southern takes that one back on the loose ball. And actually a foul on that play. Well, we'll find out. No, just off the hands of Kane Williams. I'll tell you what, Danny, for a guy who had his career high in this game last year, Kane Williams has been pretty quiet.
Yeah, Williams so far just 4 points off of 2 of 5 shooting. Does have 5 rebounds, however. I mean, as we said throughout this game, as Georgia State called the timeout, you know, everyone's kind of been able to contribute throughout the season.
And of course, road games will mark a lot of the crucial ones down the stretch for this Eagle team. They do go to Georgia State for the second to last game of the regular season, early March up in Atlanta. Lost that game last year. Juan Jackson steps back around 3 guys and connects.
Wow. Jackson had all of them looking. Now with 5 of his own so far in the first.
The Eagles putting a nice little run together. It was tied a couple minutes ago, and all of a sudden this lead is up to 7 points. Wilson around Jackson. Contact, doesn't matter, still gets the bucket, no foul.
That was a good shot from Wilson.
Down inside a minute to go here in the first half. Eagle lead back down to 5. Trying to get a good look here with 15 on the shot clock. Guan, you bet. And what a last couple of minutes of the half for him. Lead to 7 for Southern. That was inside the line. 5-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. State doesn't feel the need to run it down, but maybe they should have. It's blocked. And here comes Jackson again. Rejected at the rim. We're having blocks on both sides of the ball for both teams. Here's Wilson. Easy feed and a jam on the other end from Nelson Phillips. No charge. Eagles fans are screaming for a foul with 3.7 seconds.
I think what was more important that Martin Byington was running.
But you almost have to build in a couple more losses for each of these teams looking at the second half of the conference season, just because winning on the road in the Sun Belt's so tough. 3 seconds. Smith to Jackson, man in his face. A little bit short, no foul on the play, and that'll take us into halftime.
The game was pretty close, neck and neck in the final couple of minutes, and then the Jaguars had the momentum, went on a 9-2 run to get the win. And Georgia Southern is usually a really good second half team, so hopefully they can play that way here today.
And they'll get started with maybe a couple points here at the line for Isaiah Crawley. Foul there on the true freshman Joe Jones. What an excellent first half for Isaiah Crawley.
Yeah, like we said, Crawley, ever since he came back from that ankle injury a few months ago, he has been, you know, now that he's gotten better and he's been more 100%, he's been playing very well. His last 2 games, his first 2 double-doubles on the season, had 5 double-doubles last year.
In case you're just joining us, his first 6 points were off a couple of big threes. Shooting just shy of 60% from the field this year. Not a surprise to see him continuing that crazy efficiency tonight. And after the 2 free throws, Eagle extend the lead here to 7 to start the second half. Corey Allen started the game slow. He's been good since, and he gets busted there for a travel.
He was trying to keep his pivot foot down and turn around and couldn't do that.
Now, it is worth noting, speaking of him and the totals for Georgia State, looking at their halftime stats, nobody in double digits.
No, the closest one was Damon Wilson, and he had 9 points in the first, shooting 3 of 7 from the field.
Other big halftime numbers, like we said during halftime, State got 40 shots up, and they're going to increase that number in the second half, you got to think. Elijah McCadden back in, finds Ike Smith, and he delivers. Ike Smith, 17 points. And the lead is up to 10 for Southern.
Well, he's taking some high-quality shots in this game so far, and another one from the corner. That high-arcing release that he has, it's kind of hard to defend.
Well, especially with his size. He's got a huge wingspan compared to the actual size he has, which is about 6'5". Here he goes again. Just a little bit long. Roof would have come off this place.
That could have been a shot they could have gotten the rebound for.
Roberts working inside. Easy feed to Williams off the glass. No good. Tipped by Jones, and Ike Smith with the rebound. And Williams got his hand caught on there, too.
Yeah, you could tell he was trying to get out of that, and unfortunately picked up a foul.
Saw the big smile coming out of that, too. He knew. I would say one of the most impressive things the Eagles have done is held Kane Williams to a pretty quiet night. Just 4 points on the floor. Again, in case you're just joining us, he put up 23 against Southern in this game last year.
Yeah, it was, we talk about the amount of seniors and high caliber players that Georgia State had last year, and for Williams to be the guy that stood out and helped Georgia State get that win over the Eagles last year says a lot.
That team last year for State was so unbelievably deep. As Crawley goes to the line again, it looks like it was once again Joe Jones caught in the crossfire. Already 3 fouls against Georgia State, less than 2 minutes into the second half. That's going to make for a lot of free throws down the stretch for Southern. And they'll take points any way they can get them in this game. And the foul is on Jones. Either way, 10 points for Georgia Southern. This is the biggest lead of the game for either team so far. And they can't make it 11. Unusual to see anyone on this Georgia Southern team going 0 for 2 from the free throw line. Doesn't usually happen.
Yeah, all of them pretty efficient from the charity stripe.
Wilson in the corner. He had a great first half, led the way with 9 points. Eagles have started the second half on a 5-0 run. Wilson outside to Allen. Down the lane he goes. Great little floater in the lane for 2, and he breaks their cold streak.
And you saw there Isaiah Crawley was trying to take the charge, but I think he got there late after the shot was made.
Ike trying to work one-on-one on Wilson. Dribbles into traffic, draws a foul. And that's already going to be number 4 on State. Rob Lanier's going to lose his mind. That one's on Damon Wilson, just his first, though.
Yeah, but already 4 fouls and not even 3 minutes in. And as this second half rolls along, Georgia Southern is just going to keep driving down the lane and just trying to earn shots from the free throw line.
Rounding out there from Calvin Wishart. As the Eagle lead is down to 8 points. Linder once again wide open in the middle. They learned their lesson about that last time as Allen airballs it. And Wilson throws out of bounds. This will be Eagle ball. They've gotten lucky a couple times. Linder has been wide open in the middle of the paint, and there have been a couple times he hasn't been able to put it in.
Yeah, it's one thing they have to work on here in a second. Another substitution going to happen. Joe Jones is going to come out. They're going to bring in Nelson Phillips.
Yeah, no surprise Jones is going to the bench after those couple early fouls here.
So that's interesting. I mean, you're still going with the 4-guard lineup with Linder pretty much playing your 5 at 6'8".
State one of the smaller teams, then again in the Sun Belt Conference in their rotation. They've really only got 2 or 3 guys above 6'6" that they give huge minutes to. They tend to play pretty small guard basketball. Smith Great feed to Crawley. Draws the foul. He'll go to the line again. This is going to be his third trip to the line in the first 3 minutes and 2 seconds of the second half.
And that was great awareness by Crawley. Had both defenders flying in the air and just went up to get some contact.
He'll be shooting 2.
All right, so Isaiah 6 for 8 from the free throw line so far. Missed his last 2, but he's back on track.
And here you see again, it's a beautiful move by Ike Smith, and had both Ivory and Phillips going up.
And the lead is back to 10. Devontae Ivory just back in off the bench, same with Nelson Phillips. Tanner Hooligan's letting him hear it. Foul on the floor. That was going to be the first against Georgia Southern. Probably against Quan Jackson, looks like.
That will be the first foul for Jackson, too.
Well, I'll tell you what, Danny, a couple of those fouls in the first 2 minutes of the half were so blatant that you had to call them. But I would say the refs are actually being a little more active with their whistles just so far here in the second half compared to the first.
I mean, you saw a lot of fouls down low in the paint here in the second half from Georgia State.
Yeah.
I think they're still going to let these teams play.
Roberts all the way to the rack and gets the roll. Cuts the lead back down to 8. McCadden back in. He didn't get a ton of playing time in the second half of the first. He had a lot of traffic and a couple of fouls as Ike Smith continues his hot night. Give him 19 points.
Yeah, beautiful floater there from the free throw line. For a second, they thought it was going to be an alley-oop to Crawley.
I was waiting for someone on the other end of that. Lead back to 10. Roberts against Jackson into traffic. Recovers, squares up, short. No foul, tipped away. Roberts has the ball for a third chance. State's got it down low, no foul, and that's good from Ivory. Whenever Southern has a back, it seems like State has an answer. Haven't been able to get past 10 points. Loose ball. Eagles will keep, and that'll take us into the first timeout of the second half. Georgia Southern still out on top.
Or State would be big. And also with the new rules to the Sun Belt Conference Tournament, I mean, seeding remains the same, but the first 2 rounds in the quarterfinal games will all be played at host sites, so you won't even play semifinal games until you get to New Orleans.
I love that, though, as McCadden hucks up a 3, no good. Rebounded by Simeon Carter. Great hands and awareness. Third chance for McCadden. He gets fouled. He'll go to the line. That is already 6 fouls on Georgia State. I'll tell you what, though, I love that first and second round games are headed back to host campus sites. The atmosphere at these home schools are so much fun for early conference tournament games.
Yeah, but what's important now is that, you know, if you can get a top 2 seed, you get an automatic bye into the semifinals.
Sure do.
So while it would be nice for a 3 seed or a 4 seed to be able to host a tournament game, you want to go for either number 1 or number 2.
Because it is important to remember, it's nice to have those 1 or 2 seeds so you get the bye to the Final Four of the conference tournament. However, like we've seen for years now, winning the regular season, no indicator of winning the conference tournament and getting that automatic bid.
And last year, Georgia Southern had to play a quarterfinal game, beat Louisiana Monroe before unfortunately losing to UT Arlington in the semifinals.
Who went on to win the whole thing. That one no good from McCadden, and here comes State. They've got some numbers this time down, led by Roberts. Rather, that's Williams, and he finishes hard at the rack. They could really use a couple more points out of him in the second half, and maybe that there is the start. And just in off the bench, Chris Clerkey for Georgia State. He hasn't gotten any touches yet tonight.
Well, now it's 6 fouls in the second half. You know, you got to start bringing in some extra guys just in case you got to give some fouls up.
Just statistically, you have to. 10 on the shot clock. Eagles wore this one down. Here's McCadden. Here's Beatty. Another big 3 from the redshirt freshman. And he's trying to wake up the Hanner hooligans here. Eagle lead to 11. That's the biggest lead of the game. And a response right away from Nelson Phillips, the sophomore out of Warner Robins.
Didi hit the three, tried to hype the crowd up, but didn't get there in time. You got to play defense too.
I was going to say the problem was he didn't get back on defense. He's a redshirt freshman. He'll learn. He's young.
Yeah, we'll give him time. And he was hyped. You know, was able to get a big three for the Eagles.
Maybe a big two. A little bit long. Byington's going to lay into him on the bench. All right, here's Williams over to the corner. That one off the mark from Allen, tipped away by Beatty. And Wishart in transition, doesn't have numbers. And it doesn't matter. What a layup from Calvin. And it's back to a 10-point game with 13:35 to go.
Williams thought about taking the three from the top of the key.
Seen a lot of explosive plays so far this evening. And that continues to be the way. Big plays, big points. Behind Wishart, bad pass that time. Beats Carter! Little hard, would have been his third dunk, and he'll go to the line. That was violent.
Yeah, that one had some juice on it. Really wanted to throw that one down. Some of his teammates couldn't believe that.
We were looking at a SportsCenter top 10 play if he'd finished there. And he makes it 11. Man, I'll tell you what, for a guy who hasn't gotten a crazy amount of touches today, his impact has felt outsized.
Well, some of the plays that he's made have definitely been inside the perimeter.
Yeah.
Big-time dunks. Averages 21 minutes a night. And with Isaiah Crawley being your primary center, you know, that's a good guy to have on the bench in Carter.
Speaking of the bench, Corey Allen coming off the bench, as you can see there for Georgia State. Started slow, been better since then. Up to 8 points on the night, but he's averaging 15 a game this year. Had 14 in the last game against Troy. Hit over 53s this year. They need more out of him. And more impact from Simeon Carter on the rejection.
Look out for him. Going to get rewarded on the other. Oh!
Elijah McCadden, how dare you! It's a 14-point lead for Georgia Southern. Hello, SportsCenter Top 10. And listen to this place as Calvin Wishart is guilty of the foul on Damon Wilson. That was Quentin Tarantino movie violent.
So I thought that it would have gone to Carter because he made the great block on the defensive end, reward the big guy on offense, but can't forget about Elijah McCadden with great height, being able to go up and catch the alley-oop from Wishart. Oh my goodness.
Anyone else need a second? Here's Wilson, he's got 9 points.
Returning for the Panthers, number 25, Jalen Thomas.
I promise we'll show you the replay you want to see in a couple seconds.
Calvin,
wow.
Calvin picked up that foul. That's his third. He has to be careful now.
Yeah, he really does, because although State is down here and Wilson helps them cut into the lead, Southern has a much smaller rotation in the second half. They've really been playing 7, maybe 8 guys tonight. State's rotation is up toward 10, so the second half, Southern needs to be careful about making sure that they stay fresh as much as they can. And 10 on the shot clock here for Calvin. Gives himself up, and he'll get a foul on the play. That is number 8 on Georgia State.
Fouls on the Panthers.
And now the bonus. Georgia Southern now in the bonus.
So free throws coming up.
Team's 8.
And here comes Calvin at the free throw line.
Returning to the game for the Eagles, number 53.
Only 6 points, but he's been impacting the game in other ways. 4 assists, and it's even felt like more than that.
Well, you got to remember, with the absence of David Lee Jones and Wishart being the primary point guard on this team, he's going to do more of that. Try to get everyone else involved rather than score himself.
They've been asking him to do an awful lot tonight. And they'll be asking him to do a ton until David Lee Jones gets back as Kane Williams gets fouled. He'll go to the free throw line. And that's on Calvin. That's number 4. That might spell trouble for the Eagles in the next 12:06. Because do you have McCadden play some point guard? Do you bring in David Vader to do the heavy lifting? What do you do, Danny?
I think you have to have Ike Smith kind of run the point.
He's done it before.
He has done it before. That senior leadership, you might want to just have him run point. Because now you have, with Quan Jackson coming in, you have McCadden, Smith, and Jackson as your guards, of Carter and Crawley as your post players. So more than likely, go with your senior in Ike Smith.
Bright side is none of the 5 in the game right now for Southern. Nobody's got more than 2 fouls. So really, Calvin is the worst offender here with 4.
And you may have to just save him for the final 5 or 6 minutes, give him a lengthy break. And they just changed the foul there. If you just caught that, the foul's now on Simeon Carter. So I think Calvin still only has 3 fouls, not 4 anymore.
So although it's hard to ever say that a personal foul is a team catching a break, Southern really just caught a break. Down inside, 12 minutes to go. Eagles back on top by 10. McCadden keeps the handle. And it looks like he might get whistled here for a travel, and that's going to take us down into immediate timeout. Eagles up 10, and what a way to send us to break. Sports Center, here we go.
4 of the next 5 games are going to be at home. And they are 8-0 at home so far.
Yeah, both of these teams undefeated at home this year. Both teams 8-0. If Georgia Southern can keep this going, they're on the way to making it 9-0. But this Georgia State team always makes sure these games are close in this building. Nice floater in the lane there from Corey Allen, and he continues to slowly work his way back into this game. That's 10 points. Foul on the floor. Is that against Quan Jackson or Jalen Thomas? That's against Quan.
Fouls on the Panthers, number 25, Jalen Thomas.
Rather, it's on Jalen Thomas. And that is team foul, I believe, number 9 for Georgia State. We are not even halfway through the second half.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Georgia Southern 17 of 22 from the free throw line so far.
And Quan Jackson improves upon that number. I'll tell you what, it's impressive that Georgia Southern has managed to keep this about 10-point lead the last couple of minutes. This is not something that I saw coming.
Well, I think with a lot of foul trouble earlier from Georgia State, it kind of helped the Eagles in those first couple of minutes.
The Hanner Hooligans have not let Corey Allen forget about that air ball with about 5 minutes in the first half. Tell you what, rebound by Crawley. He's been everywhere. McCadden on the move. Outside to Smith. Not the wisest shot with a man flying into his face there. He just had to put it up.
And I think he took too much time there trying to set himself up behind the three-point line.
Stolen away. Eagles have numbers 3-on-1. McCadden to Crawley. Not their best executed alley-oop.
I don't think Crawley was looking for it.
Maybe not. Short in the lane there from Allen. McCadden the other way. And now the Eagles are going to want to slow it down a little bit. Smith one-on-one. Great kick to the corner for Quan Jackson. A little bit long with the man in his face. Foul on the floor, going back State's way. And all of a sudden, some of these shots are not falling for Southern. It's time for them to start dialing the pressure up, because I might be wrong, but I would guess that State and Rob Lanier here might sense a little bit of an opening.
Well, those last 2 shots, one from Jackson and the other from Ike Smith, they seemed forced.
Yeah.
They didn't seem in rhythm. You saw Jackson kind of get stopped on the defensive side and try to just throw it up, and Smith tried to get back behind the three-point line, trying to set up a shot there.
And then don't forget the botched alley-oop. So
3 straight possessions where things don't go your way. You got to be careful. But that's where you can see the turnaround, and Georgia State maybe find an opening.
So Calvin Wishart back into the game after the referees waved off one of his fouls. Turns out he's got 3 personal now instead of 4. Phillips in the corner corrals it to Roberts for 3. You bet it's a 7-point game, and here comes Georgia State.
That's the opening right there the Panthers need. They're going to pick up the defense.
And you knew what was going to happen. There's no way it was going to be a 10-point game down the stretch.
Another box alley-oop.
Southern getting a little bit sloppy. Carter's turnaround won't go. Thomas the rebound. And the Panthers are looking to make their move. They smell blood in the water. Roberts, bad shot. Southern might get lucky here, but it's tipped away. Not so lucky. Wilson. Man, these teams are just putting up shots. Might be wise to slow it down just a little bit instead of continuing to force the issue. Another one off the mark, that time by Ike Smith, and these threes have stopped falling. Georgia Southern 6 for 22 from outside. Georgia State 6 for 21.
Not to mention the Eagles missed their last 4 shots, 3 turnovers over the last 2 minutes as well. If Georgia State scores here, if you're Mark Byington, you got to call a timeout.
Allen, no way. One of these coaches is going to have to be the one who does it, because you get the sense that both of these teams could use one just for fresh legs and a chance to reset their formations.
Either that or wait another minute for the next dead ball for the media timeout.
Great kick to Jackson. Another one just off the mark. Foul on the floor. That's on Southern. Might be on Crawley. And it is. That's number 3 for him. 5 on Southern, only 9 fouls on Georgia State. McCadden comes back into the game.
And you notice as well that the Eagles bring in Trey Dawkins because both Crawley and Carter just did not have some good plays out there in that stretch.
And not to mention, Crawley now has 3 fouls as well. And we're not quite so far into the game where that doesn't matter. Roberts, great move to the lane. And all of a sudden, what was a 12-point lead for Southern, and actually up to 14 at one point, is now down to 5. State is making their move. McCadden couldn't get it to go, but Trey Dawkins with a great putback. Impact off the bench.
Yeah, sometimes you got to bring in some fresh legs to get a play.
So State's cut into this lead. They just want to work on getting good shots up here. And that one will count from Cavante Ivory. Lucky roll that time off the rim.
Yeah, that was a great defensive play made by Dawkins, but Ivory somehow is able to get that shot in.
All right, so Quan Jackson gets fouled. He'll come to the line on the other end of the break. Eagles, though, only leading by 5. And every little free throw basket in this game counts. Gets the lead back to 6 points. It was as high as 14 at one point for Georgia Southern, but State really made a good push in the last 5 minutes, as we knew they would.
Well, I think as well for Georgia Southern, you got to a point where that confidence turned into cockiness. You know, trying to make too many highlight plays to try to get the fans on their feet. It backfired on multiple possessions, resulting in turnovers, and Georgia State converting points off of those turnovers. So now you got to get back to your fundamental style of play. What got you the 14-point lead in the first place? They didn't want to get the win.
Working against Dawkins, shot won't go. Recovered by Ivory with a bunch of guys around him. Phillips can't get it to go. And this Georgia State team leads the Sun Belt Conference in most important scoring categories this year. They have been pretty cold most of the way tonight. Smith, offensive foul. That's his 3rd personal. Number 7 on Georgia Southern, already into the double bonus for Georgia State. In case you're just joining us, they've got over 10.
So worst case scenario for the Eagles, you know, if it gets into a close contest here with 1 or 2 possessions, you just drive down the lane and try to get contact and go to the free throw line.
Well, and here's the thing. We've had so many free throw line trips in the second half because we've had so many fouls, and that one's rejected by Dawkins, that it feels like this has been a longer second half than it actually has. We've still got 7 minutes to go. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time for things to change here. You never know. Georgia State could catch fire the next 2 or 3 minutes and hit a bunch of threes.
Corner for Phillips. Speak of the devil. And there they go. They've taken it from a 14-point lead back down to 4. 71-67, tipped away by Calvin, and the Panthers will keep the ball.
And this is where they can put pressure on Calvin Wishart. As we said, primary point guard, no David Lee Jones. You put pressure on him. Georgia Southern are going to call a timeout to figure out what they need to do.
Close game, 4 points, it always is. All right, down the home stretch we go. Inside 7 minutes to play in the Southern State rivalry series here on ESPN+. Georgia Southern only leading by 4. That one tipped out of bounds. It'll stay Eagle ball. Mark Byington and his boys undefeated at home this year. 8-0 here inside Hanner Fieldhouse, but Georgia State has really made a push. In case you're just tuning in, Eagles had a huge lead at the start of the second half, and it has been whittled away to just 4 points. Eagles really forced some shots in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, now they're paying the price for it. Now they might have some pressure on them.
Wishart. That was a good late feed, but I don't think Isaiah Crawley was expecting it. And that is another foul on Georgia Southern.
It's very interesting that Wishart always looks for his open man down low. Sometimes you got to take that shot yourself. I mean, it was a great move. Beautiful move there.
In fact, I think he sold it so well that Crawley wasn't looking for the pass.
Yeah, now what's worse is that now Georgia State is in the bonus. This has become a game of free throws down the home stretch.
And here's Kane Williams. By the way, that was foul number 4 on Calvin Wishart. 1 and 1 won't go. Georgia Southern catches a break.
It won't be a break until they can make a basket on the offensive end.
Jackson. A little bit long. That was a smart move there by Isaiah Crawley to swat it away, but State came up with it, trying to cut it to a 1-possession game. That would do this. Wilson slices through the defense and makes it a 2-point game. You knew it was coming. State really putting on the press here on defense. Jackson back to Smith. Great pass to Crawley. Foul, goes down hard. And he's grabbing one of his arms. And you could hear that here in the gym, Danny. You could hear him go down.
I believe there's 2 technical free throws.
Well, they did not come over to the scorer's table, but either way, that is Isaiah Crawley missing the first. So it was after the play, technical foul on Cavante Ivory. So now Ike Smith going for his free throws.
So it was a common foul and then a technical foul on the dead ball.
That makes sense. All right. But despite that, Georgia Southern still only up 2 points here on Georgia State after that. Ike Smith trying to make it more. And he misses. Georgia Southern has been missing free throws left and right these last couple of minutes.
Missed a second. That's 4 free throws.
Kind of unbelievable. If Georgia Southern does not
the momentum shift.
If the Eagles don't hold on here, that's going to be a really easy thing to point to. Because Georgia Southern was up so big, I would say the first, 25, 26 minutes of this game, but since then it's been all Panthers.
4 free throws and the ball back.
And those easy missed shots they were forcing, and now it's going back the other way on a turnover on Ike Smith. And this game is bending way toward Georgia State here, down just 2 points with 5:30 to play. So here's Damon Wilson, feeds back on top to Williams, and now it's over to Allen again. Big three. That would have given them the lead, but an easy rebound. Corner for Phillips.
I think the shot clock reset when it shouldn't have.
That would make sense.
It went off the backboard. That's just, I was really speechless about the sequence from Georgia Southern.
You mean the 4 missed open shots and then a turnover?
Yeah.
Yeah, not the finest hour here. But it looks like referees are going off to explain a couple more things to these teams.
So here's what they're doing. They're
Difficult communication here.
They're giving Georgia State the ball from the corner. They took some time off. They put the exact time left on the shot clock, which was 14 seconds.
When it should not have reset.
It should not have reset because the ball went off the backboard.
All right, that sounds about right. So a basket on this possession from Georgia State would tie it or give them the lead. And it's been a long time since we had a tie game here. Williams. Fouled. He'll go to the line for 2, and this could tie the game. And there are a couple of folks here on the Georgia Southern baseline with their heads in their hands. They cannot believe that this is about to happen.
Tanner has gone silent, just about.
Here's Kane Williams. 1-point game.
So we talked about the numerous amount of free throws from Georgia Southern as you see the foul here on Carter. Georgia State's 11 of 13. 85%. While Georgia Southern 21 of 30.
State has been hanging around, not outside of shooting distance in this entire second half, and they have eliminated what was a 14-point lead. And they've got Southern in their crosshairs. And they're putting on the press on Calvin Wishart. We are down now inside 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, at this point, you got to put the ball in your senior leader. Give it to Ike Smith.
He's had a heck of a game, 19 points, but quiet recently. 8 to go on the clock. Crawley down the lane. Can't get it to fall. Tipped away. State ball. Everything coming up roses for Georgia State here, and a chance on this possession to take the lead for the first time since pretty early on.
And they may take the lead here with this possession.
Phillips in the corner. And they will take their time and set up a shot. It's Wilson. No good. Off the rim. Foul on the play. That's on Simeon Carter. And that is going to send Nelson Phillips to the line. And that is number 4 on Simeon Carter.
So now you get the serious foul trouble for Georgia Southern. Carter has 4. Wishart has 4. Crawley has 3.
And here's Nelson Phillips.
You see it every time. You see a team that's playing very well, and then they kind of go off the beaten path, trying to do some stuff, extra stuff they shouldn't be doing to stay within the fundamentals of their game, and they lose a lead.
And Georgia State takes the lead. That is the first time that State has had the lead since 48 seconds into this game in the first half.
Sounds about right.
Here's Crawley, caught him out of position. Jackson wants the higher percentage shot and gets it. Eagles take the lead back by 1. 4 minutes to go. So Georgia Southern's got some life here. Corner for Wilson. Wants to get it to Allen. Does. Long. And State has been all over those long boards tonight.
They're out rebounding Georgia Southern by 6 right now.
Wilson splits the zone. Here's Allen. 5 on the shot clock. Got to get rid of it. No foul. Jackson tips it away. 2 on the clock. It's Thomas, and he gets it at the last second. But wait, we will hear from the referees. They called a timeout, and they took the week. And after that huge run they had early in the second half, Danny, that was capped off by that incredible Sports Center bound alley-oop to Elijah McCadden. It felt like the Eagles were invincible and on their way to a double-digit win. Seems like that's not going to happen now as it's just off the hands of Calvin Wishart. He can't believe it. He looks exasperated.
I think it was right there on the alley-oop where they tried to do more of that and they just backfired. And then, not to mention, 4 free throws missed in a row and the turnover.
By the way, technical foul free throws with nobody in the lane to distract him.
And that might be 5 fouls on Calvin.
And that would be number 5. He's already got 4.
They're going to put on Ike Smith instead. Ike Smith only has 2.
Eagles catch a break there because Calvin is their point guard. And now here comes this is Josh Linder at the free throw line for a 2-point game. And he clanks it.
And now for Georgia State, they're in a double bonus as well. So every foul is crucial.
Foul in the lane. And that one is on Georgia State. Southern catches a break there. That appears to be on Kane Williams.
It may be a lane violation on Williams, so the Eagles will have to go the whole length of the floor.
Lucky him, that wasn't a foul. He's already got 3. All right, so by the way, for what it's worth, in games decided by 5 points or less this season, Georgia Southern is 4-2. They tend to be pretty good in tight spots. Here's Ike Smith. Couldn't step back, 10 on the clock. They'll reset for Wishart. 5 to get rid of it for the point guard. That would have been incredible, but a second chance. Smith for 3. Eagles take the lead. And it's back to a 2-point game, and Ike Smith now has 22 points.
Big 3 from the senior. Not a bad look from Wishart. After that missed shot.
Swatted away by Simeon Carter, and here comes Southern. Putting pressure on Wishart, but they will reset. And this possession's going to take us down inside 2 minutes.
Yeah, you got to be very careful with this lead. Don't rush anything. Take as much time off the clock as you can.
Ike with space. Not the best look. He had a little bit of space, but not enough.
Also keep in mind, Greg, Georgia State with 3 timeouts. Georgia Southern with 2 of the fouls called. And that's number 5 on Calvin.
That's number 5 on Calvin Wishart.
So now your point guard's out.
So a valiant effort by the true sophomore out of Minnesota tonight. A couple great assists and facilitated this offense early in the game, but early second half fouls pretty much doomed him. So here comes Nelson Phillips, the sophomore out of Warner Robins at the line. 2 free throws here could tie the game.
How about the missed free throw from the Panthers?
And it seems like these teams are just choosing the worst times to miss them. And he gets the second. It's back to a 1-point game, and Georgia State wants a timeout.
And it backfired. And so now they have to be crucial here, be careful and cautious on how they want to try to finish this game and come out with a win.
Eagles leading by 1 minute 35 to go. Georgia State has won 8 of the last 11 meetings in this rivalry series. State is in the driver's seat the last couple of years. Jackson, no foul on the play. Loose ball. Carter's got it. Whistle's blown before Smith got a shot off. And it looks like they called a
shot clock violation.
He didn't get rid of it in time.
Yeah, Carter didn't know how much time was on the shot clock. Jackson's shot didn't get the rim.
So now 1:13 to go. State a chance to take the lead with a basket on this time down.
A lot of options you can go to for the Panthers. I suspect they give it to Kane Williams.
Over to Wilson, working on Crawley. Wide open Wilson in the lane. Drew up a great play, rebound Linder, put back good. Georgia State takes the lead. 77-76, inside a minute to go. That one is off the hands of Justin Roberts. And almost took out my partner Danny.
I'm good. Got quick reflexes.
So Elijah McCadden back into the game. He's been explosive, but has had some foul trouble. Southern's got a big lineup in now.
And McCadden, Smith, Jackson, Carter, and Crawley.
Southern down one on offense. 45 seconds left. Tipped away. Williams got it. 3-point game. Biggest lead of the night for Georgia State. Ike almost lost the handle, recovers. That was just a bad shot.
That's a desperation shot right there. That was a desperation three from Smith, just trying to throw it up.
And Southern's got a foul. This game has gone from a 14-point lead to a 3-point deficit, and there is no shot clock left. Southern is now purely relying on Georgia State missing free throws to close the gap. Here's Williams. Misses the front end. But now you're relying on threes. And he gets the second. Not a big surprise. Danger of now losing their first home game of the season. All right, they're down 4. It's time to get a big three if you're Georgia Southern. Can't waste time passing back and forth. Here's McCadden. Smith. That's the look. Fouled. He'll get 3 free throws. That's huge. Now, Ike did miss his last 2 free throws at the line as part of that technical foul.
Could you imagine how this place would have erupted if Smith would have made that 3? He would have gone to the line for a 4-point play to potentially tie it up.
So Georgia Southern here a chance to make it a 1-point game if Ike Smith can connect on these 3.
He'll be shooting 3.
The Hanner hooligans trying not to get their hopes up. Linder goes to the bench. He'll be replaced by Nelson Phillips. And these are going to be the biggest free throws of the season so far for the redshirt senior Ike Smith.
Slow it down a little more, Red. Got it all afternoon.
Keep in mind as well, Greg, that the Eagles have not scored a point in almost 2.5 minutes.
That sounds about right. All right, here's Ike, first to 3. Short. And there was a brief pained look on Mark Byington's face after that first one. And this to make it a 2-point game. And he missed it again. Phillips, the rebound, time for more fouls. McCadden got slapped in the face. And that will pretty much do it statistically for this game. The free throws absolutely sunk Georgia Southern in the final 10 minutes. And once again, it'll be Kane Williams at the free throw line. 13 points for him already after a slow start. and that will pretty much do it.
Well, Southern still has 2 timeouts.
There's time, but it'll take a couple of big threes back-to-back and a couple of missed free throws. "11 seconds. Here comes Ike Smith. Pressure on him. You just got to get up a shot at this point. 4 seconds. McCadden. 3 won't go, and that's going to put a lid on this one. What a stunning stat.